Vols are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! Got it by Tennessee. Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now.
I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Reddit did to do and welcome into more important issues. It is Sunday, February 28th. Can you hear me, Landon? Are you good?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I was worried I wasn't getting picked up there. Good deal. We're back. We're here. A little late, but better late than never is what I always say.
Sure.
Because, then it allows you time to be late. And it is my fault. So, we're good. Better late than never. We wanted to bring you, since Pac-12 After Dark hadn't happened, thought we'd bring you another episode of More Important Issues After Dark. So you have some entertainment late Sunday night before you start the work week. Has been a tough weekend for Tennessee. It's not been the most fun.
So has it been normal?
Sure. I mean, I guess. First off, losing to Bruce Pearl and losing to Auburn, I would call it normal. So, I'm going to go with normal. Obviously, the basketball loss to Auburn's tough. Baseball, everybody's starting to look forward to that. Baseball splits the series. That one's not fun. Lady Vols did beat Auburn on their senior night, so that's good, positive. I didn't see I think the softball team got a series win as well, I believe. Don't hold me to that. And then I need to check and see what the Lady Vols soccer team did today, because they did have a match against Xavier.
They won too.
They won.
I think 3-1.
Okay. Wow. 0-0 at the half. 0-0 at the half. So that's a big win there. So that's good. Okay, good. Do you know about softball?
They won. I don't know what the score or what the series looks like.
I think I did see that they wrapped up a series win. I can't remember. I'll see if I can find it here in the next few minutes. So Lady Vols little saving the weekend a little bit there.
Trying to.
And I mean, basketball is gonna. Baseball could have won the series against Indiana State. They could have gone 4-0, and I don't think there was going to be a lot that revived that basketball loss.
Yeah, this all kind of started on Friday. The Ty Simpson news really just started off the weekend hot.
Yeah, fair point. I didn't even bring that into consideration. But yeah, that definitely was not a good start.
Yep.
So I'll be honest. Well, you know what? Well, let's get the rest of the show going in here, and then because I know we're definitely going to talk about the Ty Simpson stuff, and more than that now that we just found out a few minutes ago. So more than just Ty Simpson, but we will talk about that. We're going to talk about the loss at Auburn. Talk about Tennessee basketball as a whole. Then we'll talk about the BaseVols series versus Indiana State. Again, just they struggled at times. They were able to pull one out in extra innings today, which is good. But did struggle at times this weekend. And then we've got questions. If you've got them now, drop them in the chat. We'll get to them. If we don't get to them right away, that just means you got to hang on to the show, and we will answer them, I promise.
Yeah, and go check out our sponsors, Tennessee Tap House, Hound Dogs, and Blue Water Climate Control. Also, go check out our network, Volunteer Roadshow. They do a great job of letting us have this platform to talk about Tennessee sports, the good and the bad. So you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. Tell us where you're listening from. I am on Facebook. Caleb's on Twitter. And I think do we have YouTube up?
No, I need to figure out the YouTube thing. So okay. I think we're on YouTube. I'm not currently on it. So
gotcha.
We'll see if we can figure that out.
Twitter and Facebook. So if you got questions, drop them in the chat. We'd be happy to get to those. We got a couple in here already. Quarterback recruiting, a 2022 class. Tennessee's had a rough couple days with that.
And and it'll probably be topped off on, is it Wednesday, Caden Martin is committing?
Yep.
So it'll probably be just cherry on top. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't expect Caden Martin to come here. It'd be, how can you, kind of after everything went down. And I know T. Martin didn't say it publicly, but one of his friends and teammates did, that, he wanted the head coaching job or consideration for the head coaching job, and Tennessee didn't give it to him. And I'm not saying, I'm not here to argue whether it's right or wrong, but how can you expect his kid to want to come here after that?
Yeah, I just have a hard time believing that too. It just doesn't seem like Tennessee is going to be the pick there. I think it's the same thing with the Sam Horn thing. It's nothing. If it's just with baseball, yeah, they're here, but it's because of the football program, where it's at, how it's handled things, and Tennessee just gets screwed again by this previous staff.
Yeah, and it's thankfully it's
a gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, not the McDonald's gift either. Right. Totally different one.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the good news is because you're not gonna, both Sam Horn and Todd Simpson, you're not gonna stop recruiting. So you're not completely out of the game yet. Obviously, you aren't in a good position that they committed to another team over you. So you're not in a great position there to start, but you're not going to stop recruiting them. Unless there's just, and I'm sure we'll talk about it here in a second, but unless there's just another quarterback that you really think can come in and be the god, you can't, you're not going to give up on them. So it's definitely not over, but it certainly became even more of an uphill battle for Josh Heupel.
Yeah, absolutely. And, let's talk about Todd Simpson a little bit. So he picks Bama over Tennessee, Clemson, Ole Miss, and UT Martin. He said he made it. Like I get it, but I don't. I understand, you see, them win a national championship. You see Mac Jones, Tua, the quarterback development, the offense is there. But as a lifelong Tennessee fan, there'd be no way in hell I would pick up an Alabama hat and say Roll Tide. There'd be no way.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that right off the bat. Let's go ahead and get this one out of the way. ESPN, you can't run the graphic. A lifelong Tennessee, I 100% understand why you would go to Alabama as a quarterback. I 100% get that. Not bashing the kid. I'm not even saying he's not a Tennessee fan. He's obviously a Tennessee fan. But ESPN can go ahead and get the graphic out of there. That lifelong Tennessee fan wanted to go to Tennessee, blah, 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 all that. If he really wanted to come to Tennessee, first off, it was a possibility. It's not like they didn't offer, they didn't consider. So go ahead and just drop the graphic. It's not true because, like you said, a lifelong Tennessee fan, like a guy who loves Tennessee, wouldn't go to Alabama. Like Clemson, if he had gone to Clemson, I would be like, yeah, sure, run the graphic. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think about that. And I'm sure some people will be like, it's a hot take. He's looking out for himself, blah, blah, blah. Again, I get why a quarterback or any college football player would want to go to Alabama, would want to play for Nick Saban. But you can't, the Tennessee fan thing, that just can't be part of it. It can't be.
Yeah, you can't consider yourself a lifelong Tennessee fan, like orange is in your blood, and then you pick Alabama.
Exactly.
It just doesn't happen. I would never pick up Alabama. Would not even be on the table.
Yeah, no, agreed. Caleb Q mentioned QBs rarely decommit. I don't know what the statistics are on it, and I don't disagree. And if this goes for every single 18-year-old on planet Earth, until they are on campus, I'm not I used to say until the ink is, until they've signed the paper. That is no longer until they are on the campus. I'm not buying it. And until they stay on campus for 3 or 4 years, whether they go to the NFL or go to finish their time here, I don't consider it's not a lot. It's not over till it's over. That's just not the case. Eric Gilbert has now been committed and signed to 2 different SEC schools.
Whoa, you're missing out on one huge one. Tate Martell has been to 85 programs already.
That's a great point too. So
he's a quarterback.
That's a great point. It's just not over till it's over. And again, if we're going to go off popularity, what we hear more often, yeah, quarterbacks don't. You don't see that change as often. But it's not impossible. And if he's truly a lifelong Tennessee fan and he sees Tennessee do even half well this year, then how can you say no? Like if you see an offense that produces, I just don't. Again, I think ESPN can go ahead and drop the graphic. It's done. You've already get rid of it. Can it? 86 it.
Yep. I mean, it's just unfortunate. And then, all attention went to Sam Horn, a guy that has played in the toughest classification in the state of Georgia where football is king there. Where's number 21? Every Tennessee fan loves Heath Schuler and loves that number on a quarterback. And then he plays baseball. And this program has really competed in the last couple of years. So, and they got a dominant recruiting staff over there with Vitello, Elander, Ross Kivett, Zerker, and Frank Anderson. And he pitches. And he was a pitcher that is already thrown in the 90s, has that tall, lanky frame. And, it's unfortunate because Jeremy Pruitt basically just told him, we're not interested. We're going after Ty Simpson. And so he moved on. And Josh Heupel was pretty much just given the short end of the stick on Ty Simpson and Sam Horn. Because Ty Simpson said he made his decision on February 1st. That was 4 days after Josh Heupel was hired. So he got 4 days to try to commit Ty Simpson to come here. It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I thought Ty Simpson said that he decided the night before.
That's what he said in his thing, but with his interview with Chad Simmons at Rivals, he said he knew on February 1st.
Interesting.
So something's not adding up there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if we're gonna, that's another great example. I mean, just don't believe it till it happens. They're 18-year-olds.
Right. Yeah.
I think being indecisive is part of just the genetic code. But yeah, Josh Heupel was definitely put. He was behind the 8 ball. As far I didn't expect Ty Simpson to commit to Tennessee. I had a little bit of hope. I had some hope. I won't lie. Hope's dangerous, but I did not expect it to. And we talked about it. I was like, I think it plays poorly for Tennessee, the timing of it, but I think it plays, if we're going to try to see this, the half glass full, I think it plays well for Tennessee that he didn't announce he was committing until a new staff and offensive staff was in place. So I was like, that could be a possibility, I guess. But I still thought there's just no way he's going to, without seeing Heupel coach a single game, without him getting another commitment, how does he go and land the top commitment in the state of Tennessee, the 5-star quarterback at that point? I just didn't see it being possible.
Yeah, and the fact that he got that bump right before his commitment, you just knew.
Yeah, that fifth star.
It wasn't going to be Tennessee. If it was going down, then the crystal balls will start rolling in for Tennessee.
Yeah, that fifth star was not golden; it was crimson all the way.
But here's how Ty Simpson. We took away your lifelong Tennessee fan. We put that in quotations. But this is how you get it back. This is my letter to Ty Simpson, if you will.
It's 2 weeks.
Maybe you can be the quarterback that puts Tennessee back. You break the Bama streak. Right? Nick Saban sent Jeremy Pruitt to sabotage Tennessee.
Exactly.
We send Ty Simpson to sabotage Alabama.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I like it. I like that idea. I think that's
not going to happen.
No, it's not. He's a freakishly talented guy. Probably going to win a natty or 2 or 3 in his time.
And probably be in the Heisman race.
Probably. I want to reiterate it because I'm not trying to bash Ty Simpson. That's not the case. Because again, I 100% understand why a player would want to go to Alabama. I 100% understand why a player just in general wouldn't want to come to Tennessee. I get that. But I'm more just it has nothing to do with Ty Simpson, really. It has something to do with the ESPN producers that are going to run that for centuries into the ground. And it's going to be very annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my only take on that. I realize a lot of people are like, oh, don't bash don't tweet at recruits. Don't talk about. I'm like, I'm not mad at him. I get it. I don't blame him at all. Now the Sam Horn thing, because we do get to talk about that now, because that commitment happened a few minutes ago in Missouri. That one's interesting to me. And that's probably, if I had to guess, you mentioned how Jeremy Pruitt wasn't even recruiting him. I mean, that's probably like loyalty might not be the right word, but like an appreciation commitment. Like Missouri's been recruiting me the whole time. Before I've blown up, and I'm sure there's some other things in place there. But credit to Eli Drinkowitz. I'm not convinced he's going to like pan out or anything, but his team got better this year, and then he goes out and gets a highly touted quarterback in February, the last day of February. It's pretty big. Like, he's doing better than I thought he would be doing.
Yeah, I mean, he's far better than Tennessee right now.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah.
In terms of, like, getting better over a course of a season and then, having a good offseason. Like, I haven't heard anything bad about Missouri.
No.
I don't really pay attention to it either. I don't think anybody really does. But, the fact that they got a solid kid from Knoxville, Tennessee there, who we both think is going to be really good, and then they get a top 100 quarterback.
Yeah.
And a kid that can also play baseball for their baseball program they're not great either. But like you said, I think it's a loyalty thing. Tennessee wasn't recruiting him, so nothing against Heupel, but the fact that the University of Tennessee told him basically, no, we're putting other people before you. You're more of a backup plan. Who would want to go to Tennessee? I wouldn't.
Yeah. No, I get that one too. And he doesn't get the lifelong Vol card thing pulled because it's Missouri, and there's no. If you're a lifelong Vol fan, you grow up hating Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, he probably didn't even know Missouri was an actual football team until he was like 15.
Which is fair. That's
But the reason I wanted Ty Simpson so bad Sam Horn, was because Jeremy Pruitt didn't want him, because that dude didn't know quarterback talent if it fell out of his ass. Like, he was terrible. He would play JG over Peyton Manning 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that.
I believe that too. Well, Peyton's probably a good practice player, so that bodes well for Peyton Manning. But I mean, all the evidence point to your statement being right. So
but I mean, JG gives us the best chance to win.
Yeah, I'm not willing to disagree with it. Someone mentioned Arch Manning 2023. The thing we have working for us is apparently Peyton Manning has told Trevor Lawrence several times that he should have gone to Tennessee. So maybe he's putting that in his nephew's ear too. But again, Arch, I believe it even more now, because like Peyton, if Cooper feels the same way Eli, Archie, and Peyton do, because Cooper's Arch's father, about Cutcliffe, that's where I think Arch Manning could legitimately be a Duke Blue Devil. Like, I think that, and I realize people think I'm crazy, and that's fine, but they trust David. I mean, and Peyton Manning's pretty much said that. Like, David Cutcliffe is like, he would have played for David Cutcliffe at East Mississippi Community College if that's where David Cutcliffe was when Peyton Manning was coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's a relationship that I'm not saying that's where he ends up, but I think it's a strong, like, Duke's going to be in play if that's where David Cutcliffe is.
Oh yeah, 100%. His hat's going to be on the table.
Yeah,
or Duke's hat's going to be on the table. You're right. I don't disagree, but like, he's an SEC talent that, if he was going to Duke, it would only be because of David Cutcliffe. But 100%. How much longer does David Cutcliffe have?
And that's another point. Like, he's it's a couple years still, so that is another great point. So yeah, and I'll say this: if Tennessee is in even a similar spot, right, like to where they are right now when Arch Manning's committing or signing, Duke would be ahead of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can we just not have any more like Tennessee tie players anymore?
Yeah, can nobody be a fan? Everyone stop teaching your kids to be fans of Tennessee.
Eventually it's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna.
Yeah.
If Tennessee continues this streak of just being terrible for so long, eventually it'll just catch up where like no one is ever a fan of Tennessee. It's like, no offense to Missouri, but like it's like Missouri. Like, no one's actually a fan of Missouri unless you're like from Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah, no, that's.
And then it's like maybe a fourth of them are.
Right. Someone had a great question. It went away. I'm sorry. I'll try to read it how it was, and I missed who said it, but it's a great question. It said, with this QB room, so that's Maurer, Bailey, Hooker, Salter, Is recruiting a QB really necessary? Well, first off, I think this is kind of college football's opinion too right now. I don't think this is my own. Yeah, I think now, like in like the 90s, early 2000s, you didn't necessarily go out and get a top quarterback recruit or swing for a top quarterback recruit every single year. Now you go and you're trying to sign, at a school like at an SEC school, you're trying to sign the absolute best quarterback possible in the class. You're not necessarily looking for like you look for a guy that fits your system, but now pretty much every quarterback fits. There's really not a specific, there's dual threat guys and pro, but it's all pretty kind of it's all fairly similar. Nowadays, there's not a lot of quarterbacks that can't be that dual threat RPO type guy. So, but yeah, I think recruiting a QB is necessary.
And when you're looking at Tennessee, look what's kind of put a damper on the last season, for example, just like terrible quarterback play. That's been the issue with Tennessee since Josh Dobbs left. You need to have a good quarterback. So I think it's important to sign one every single year. Whether you think it's going to be the guy or not, you need to hit on at least one quarterback. But I feel like you need to have one in every class.
Yeah, but I feel like that's where it's changed because there's always going to be a quarterback in the class. Now it's like, especially schools that that are wanting to be competitive in their in the SEC, ACC, you're out trying to sign a guy that you believe can be the guy. It's not just like, oh, we want him to come in. We want this guy to come in here because we think he could be a really, really strong backup. For Harrison Bailey or whoever the starting quarterback would be. Like I feel like now you're like it's always looking for the guy. Is how it feels to me.
Yeah, and with the one-time transfer portal too, like you never know when somebody else is gone, and then you have the NFL draft, which Tennessee doesn't have to really worry about that next year.
Right.
I guess knock on wood, maybe they do. But you just never know when somebody else is going to leave your program, leave early for the draft. So you always want to have some like a guy that you can rely on.
Well, I think the best examples of it right now too are the best teams. Alabama and Clemson. They're going out. Alabama and Clemson 10 years ago would not have been recruiting quarterbacks the way they are now. They're signing the top quarterback every single class now. And it doesn't always work out that they stay. Most of the time, I feel like they have. I'm trying to think. Alabama has just really been Blake
Barnett.
Yeah, Barnett. That transferred that 1 year. That's pretty much it, right? Besides, Tulea, Tungavola. That's another great example. Like they brought him in. They knew Mac Jones was good. They had
Jalen Hurts.
But at least Jalen Hurts though. But that's another great example of like them recruiting the guy. They didn't bring Tua in to back up Jalen Hurts. They brought him in to potentially win the job. Clemson,
and the best one's going to play. And if somebody has to leave because of that, then it is what it is. They're going to have somebody do the same thing next year. And if they beat them out, the quarterback room just improves with more and more talent in the room.
Yeah, and someone else, let's see, Harrison mentioned a good point here. QBs help recruit your class. Yeah, especially, the offensive guys, QBs help. If you've got a good quarterback in that class, the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight ends are going to want to come and play with the guy. So, yeah, that's another great point, too.
And that's what makes the Ty Simpson thing so, important because if he picks Tennessee – it sets you up with pretty much everybody else in state.
Right.
With so much talent. I think there's 13 or 14 4 or 5 stars in the state of Tennessee. That sets you up because like you said, they do help recruit. And if you're and it's there's a reason why it's the most important position in all of sports. So much relies on quarterback play. And that was evident this season with Tennessee. Yeah, they had some offensive talent, but they couldn't score because the quarterback couldn't do anything.
Yeah, the quarterbacks. It's always been a very, very important position, but like even more so with the way it's evolved. Yeah, it's definitely become even more. It's like having a good quarterback that can at least run your system well, or not even run your system well, but can just. I don't know how to word it properly because it's always been necessary to be a good. Offense, but it just feels like now a running back can't just dominate for you, like they could several years ago. It feels like it, I don't know. It's just not the case. Someone asked about Eric Gilbert. Let's see. Celia said, what about Gilbert decommitting from Florida? Could we be a possibility? So I don't know. You'll probably know better than I do. You keep up with a little that more than I. Seems like that's more issues beyond football. Potentially grades, maybe just other personal issues. So he may not be at a Division I school. Is kind of what I heard today, just on Twitter. So it's not. I'm not saying it's true.
Yeah, I think he's got some off the field issues, whether that's be family or just wanting to be closer to home. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, I think it is more than football. Tennessee's not that far away from Marietta, but I just have a hard time with, recruits. And, Josh Heupel is a quarterback guru, I guess. And for quarterbacks to just be okay with not even really giving him a shot, I just have a hard time thinking that Eric Gilbert would be at Tennessee. I mean, it's been, twice now that he's had an opportunity to come to Tennessee and just it hasn't worked out. Maybe he does.
Right.
But I just have a hard time believing it now.
That's
no knowledge on my part of what he's thinking or anything about him. It just seems like it would be hard for me to believe that the third time's the charm with Eric Gilbert.
Yeah, and that's 100% understandable too. Yeah, I would agree with that take. Okay. Are we anything else you want to mention? QB recruiting. I know we didn't talk about Caden Martin, but I don't know if there's really much to talk about.
Yeah, I just have a hard time thinking it would be Tennessee.
You're right.
But I don't know really who it. Maybe it's Arizona State, I guess. Maybe that's Oregon and Miami are his other ones. Maybe Miami, but I don't know. They got a good baseball program. I think they're ranked number 6 right now, so maybe that's
won a series against Florida the first weekend.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be Tennessee, but they did offer a couple quarterbacks today. 4-star Taven Jackson out of Greenwood, Indiana. He is a 4-star pro-style quarterback, and then they offered 4-star Drew Allar out of Medina, Ohio. So I offered some more kids. So, if they're throwing around those offers like that, they're trying to get their hooks in somebody. Right. So it just doesn't look like Caden Martin would be the option there.
Yeah, that's a good point too. That offer is there. Obviously, the baseball program wants him to. That probably at least maybe helps. I mean, that might help the situation some. But I mean, the thing we talked about kind of pre-show, if everything's true about kind of how it went down with T. Martin, I just can't imagine that Caden Martin would want to be at Tennessee. And then if T. Martin's coaching there, I would say it's a completely different story. But yeah, just with everything that's gone down in the last couple months, I highly doubt it. Yeah,
and maybe like the Tennessee players are kind of in his ear. You had Cooper, Cade, and Tyler Barron, who all went to Catholic. So maybe that has something to show for it, but they're all kind of close with Ty Simpson too, and it didn't work out. So
Right. Sorry, Brutus is freaking out. He's really loving what you're bringing to the table. So that's really what it is.
I appreciate it.
He's receiving what you're
I miss all of his licks.
Yeah, they're pretty vicious. Pretty vicious. All right, let's jump to the Plains. Let's talk this Auburn basketball loss.
Ugly.
First off, why is there no one that's just like, how about like? Why is it you have to either love Bruce Pearl or hate Bruce Pearl? I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of indifferent about him.
I'll say this. I loved what Bruce Pearl did for Tennessee. I get why people love him. He's a super just personable guy. I don't know how genuine he is. I've never met him. I've never hung out with him. I don't know. He seems genuine. I get why people are attracted to what he puts out. I get that. But I also like everything that went on at Tennessee. If Tennessee kept him, I'm happy. But I get why they didn't. I get why they moved on. It was not necessarily it took a while to get it right. But Tennessee's also doing, Tennessee's struggling in some areas, but Tennessee's doing pretty good too. Auburn's in hot water right now because of Bruce Pearl. We'll see if the NCAA actually does anything about it, but
I mean, I'll say this: I hate losing to them.
But you never want to lose to the ex. You always want to have the hotter significant other when you break up.
Yeah, it's really not really against Bruce Pearl. It's just like, I just don't want to lose to him.
Right. It's just the ex thing, and
Is it 6 in a row?
Something like
that
that.
We've lost to
five or
Bruce
six in a
Pearl?
row. It's not good, whatever it is. I don't know. I don't get why Rick Barnes can't beat him.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll also say this: the way Bruce Pearl coaches, it's his Super Bowl. Like, beating Tennessee is his Super Bowl, and he says that stuff in the press conference, and I believe him. I believe, like, when he says, like, he doesn't get pleasure out of beating Tennessee, but he's just like the fans. He doesn't want to lose to Tennessee. Like, that's the team he wants to beat.
right.
No one wants to lose to the ex. You want the nicer house than them. You want the hotter significant other. You want the cuter kids, the smarter kids. You don't want your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, your ex-husband, fiance, or whatever, to be living a better life than you, no matter how much you loved them. Come on, we're humans.
We're
Jealousy is like the most like primate thing ever.
It's like one of the 7 deadly sins, right?
I'm sure. I don't know, but Bruce, like, there's no way he doesn't get that locker room fired up every time Tennessee and Auburn face. Like, it's his Super Bowl. They're gonna bring it. Unfortunately, and like there are some things I like about this style of like where you don't necessarily, you don't bring kind of that faux energy, but it's also really not faux with Bruce Pearl. It's real. He believes it. But that's just not who Rick Barnes is.
Yeah.
And those players, as much as the fans hate Bruce Pearl, those players and Rick Barnes don't, in terms of like wanting to beat him so badly, sure they want to beat him because they're competitive, but they don't give a shit about the Bruce Pearl coached here.
Right. Yeah, it's not the same thing. It's just ugly.
They need to figure out a way to beat him, because just for the fact that he is whooping their.
Yeah, and with Tennessee has a far superior team than that Auburn team they played yesterday. Sharif Cooper didn't even play, and this team, before Sharif Cooper was playing, they were absolutely terrible, and they're still not good with him, but they're terrible without him. And the fact that you lost that game when you pretty much you shot better from 3, you shot better from the field goal percentage, you should have won the game. You got out rebounded, but the moral of the game, the kind of highlight, is Tennessee attempted 10 free throws and Auburn attempted 37, getting to the rim.
Yeah,
guess who were the only 2 that attempted free throws?
Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer.
Yeah, the only 2 that actually look like they give an absolute crap. And you talk about that. These guys are going to the NBA. They're not.
Whoa! Not next year.
Yeah.
Was that really Keon? That was really Keon Johnson that tweeted that?
Yeah, it was. Dude, you know how this ends, though. Like, I get what you're saying, but you know how it ends. Like, he's going to the league.
Hope
y'all can.
Hope.
Tennessee fans can just enjoy Keon Johnson, Jaden Springer for another 3 or 4 games, and then they're gone.
I mean, here's the thing. I think you're right, but he didn't say he did not say he was coming back next year. That's not what he said. He said we're not done until we win a national championship.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he's your turn. I'm just saying what he said. That's it.
So you think we figure it out? You think March is the month?
Yeah, it is. It is called madness for a reason. Nothing makes sense. I doubt this Tennessee team figures it out. I do. But I love all the tweets that are like, everybody's hoping they get to play Tennessee in March. I don't think there's a lot of coaches that are hoping they play Tennessee in March. I think there's a lot of coaches that hope they play this Tennessee team in March. But I think a lot of teams know that it's very, very, very possible that this team figures it out.
Oh yeah, for a team that's like that doesn't have the same amount of talent that Tennessee does. Yeah, they're like, yeah, I want to play Tennessee because 8 out of 10, you're probably going to get them on a bad night.
Yeah, right
But
now,
like
yeah.
superior teams don't want to play Tennessee because that 2 out of 10, they could beat you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. I still think the problem with this team is it's not. I don't think it's the lack of one alpha. I think it's the lack of several alphas. Like, I don't think you have enough guys that just want to go in there and dominate on any given night. And I don't think there's not. It's not like there's the guys on this roster that just don't. It's not capable. They're not capable of it. And this is my one bash on Rick Barnes, is that he's not been able to get that out of, like, a lot of people want to complain about the offense he runs, or the fact that he doesn't play zone defense and yada yada. I don't think it's scheming that's hurting Rick Barnes right now. I think it's that the last 2 seasons he's not been able to get the alpha out of anybody. I mean, Grant Williams, I feel like, is a great example. Admiral kind of, I don't know that. Like, did Admiral carry that swagger with him in high school? Obviously, like, an alpha is an alpha. You got it or you don't. But it takes a good coach or a good program or a good culture to bring that out of somebody. And I didn't follow them in high school. I don't know, but I do. But those teams had them. They had the Jordan Bone. That Jordan Bone wasn't an alpha his first season. That he got significant playing time with Tennessee when he was kind of splitting with Lamonte bringing the ball up the court. But his junior season at Tennessee, alpha came out of him. He took over. This team just doesn't have that right now. Maybe Keon in spurts, maybe Jaden in spurts, Pons on the defensive end, but they don't have the guy that can do it for 40 minutes. They don't have 2 guys that can do it for 40 minutes.
Yeah. And I like what you said about alphas, because if you have one, that's great, but you also have to have that team around him that it kind of spreads to. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it was when Grant and Admiral were here. It spread to Admiral, to Jordan Bone, to Kyle Alexander. Even Jordan Bowden figured it out sometimes. Right. Lamonte Turner did it. It just kind of was contagious, that mentality. And here it's like Jaden and Keon have it in spurts, but they're also freshmen. So it's kind of hard to get, like you said, get that out of them for 40 minutes. But there's no one around them that, like, it spreads to. They're just kind of like standing back and letting them do all the work.
Yeah,
it's just passive basketball, and that's what it's killed Tennessee. This is a 500 basketball team it had a first team all conference player last year, and he's playing like dog crap. So it's a below 500 team. You added 2 5-star freshmen, and that's the reason why they're able to maybe beat somebody that they're not supposed to beat, but they're also going to lose teams that they shouldn't lose to a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning too, Fulkerson kind of had that a little bit of alpha in him last year. I mean, there were a lot of times Fulkerson got the ball and had no business shooting, but still scored. And I realize, he doesn't just go in and dominate people, so it doesn't seem like, alpha. But that's an alpha thing to do on a basketball court. Get the ball where you have no business scoring and going and scoring like that. Even if you get fouled and you flail to the ground, if you scored, that's all that matters. The points go up on the scoreboard. You're ticking in the right direction. Fulkerson had that in him last year. He doesn't have it in him now.
Do we not have a single person on this roster that can go in and play 19 minutes, get 4 rebounds and 4 points?
Well, and Kumwa showed spurts of, progression. You're gonna need him. You're gonna need him to step up in March. Like, it's gonna have to happen. Because I just don't we know Urosh can't do it. Fulkerson doesn't seem like he's ever gonna figure it out. Pons just here. Why? You can't do it right now. But Pons is the kind of guy where the ball should be going through him in every offensive possession, in terms of he should get the ball where if he can get a guy one-on-one, turn around and shoot, he should be doing it. And if he can't, he finds a pass. But if he gets a guy in a one-on-one matchup, how often does he not score in that situation?
Yeah.
It's just.
They're just got like even Uros could go in there and be 2 for 4 from the field with 4 rebounds and 4 assists in 19 minutes. Corey Walker, he hasn't played a minute this season, but should be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
EJ Inosiki should be able to do that. Like he went from first team all conference to literally being, he's like Uros. I mean, he just has been on this team longer, but like he's not giving you hardly anything, and that's the issue with this team. They're not getting anything from the post.
Anything. And from veterans too that are in the post, and that's I guess we can kind of start talking about Rick Barnes too, because I don't get how we're blaming the Fulkerson regression, the lack of productivity from him on the coaching staff. Fulkerson didn't come in here as a 5-star. He didn't come in here as a highly touted guy that just balled out day one and has regressed since then. Like, whatever's going on with him this year, I don't know what it is. I don't know. But it's not like it wasn't like he was. You knew he wasn't going to be the best player on this team the day Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer arrived.
Yeah.
Like, we knew that was the case. Whatever's going on with him, I don't know. Like, for the sake of, like, his basketball career, I hope it's COVID. Like, in terms of, like, I hope it's just taking him longer to recover. I would hate that for him because, obviously, that means he's sick and struggling. But in terms of, like, I hope he's not just lost it basketball-wise. I don't know. But I think it's... I mean, I don't know. Can you blame the regression on Barnes and staff?
I wouldn't say that on Fulkerson. I mean, you got to blame this whole season on them to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, I think that's all. I think it's more than like. Yes, the coaching staff gets blamed. They're the coaching staff. Rick Barnes is the head coach. If they win, he did it. If they lose, he did it. Like, it's that simple. But I think it goes beyond just coaching, because we want to complain about the offense. We want to. I mean, Bruce Pearl's a great example. What the hell kind of offense is Bruce Pearl running? Past. And I mean, obviously there's sets and motion, but overall, athletes be athletes. Like, he wants guys to be aggressive, going to the hole, creating pressure. Mm-hmm. Tennessee doesn't have guys that can do that.
No, I agree. But then again, it goes back to, like, coaching. Like, you recruited these guys to be here. So, I mean, that it's your fault you don't have anybody else that can take Fulkerson's place when he's playing like crap.
Right. It's the coach. Like I said, coaching is the end all be all. That's just the way it is. Rick Barnes knows that. He's been in this business for a long, long time. But I mean, I think when we talk about a team that just shoots poorly, that's not always coaching. I mean, coaching can help it, obviously, but I mean, it's just hard to look at Tennessee play. If Tennessee was playing just absolutely abysmal defense, like things that I'm like, oh, that's like that's just bad coaching. When Tennessee gets in situations where Rick Barnes doesn't call a timeout or does call a timeout when to set up last second shots, that's like, I'm glad. I will happily just absolutely blame Rick Barnes for those, because it's happened plenty, and I'll do it. I'll question those coaching decisions. I just like the lack of offensive productivity. I think is starts with one point, and I think it branches out from there. You don't have that. You don't have guys that are aggressive for 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you have two guards that basically all their shots are coming from three, and that's Victor Bailey Jr. and Vescovi.
Yeah.
Vescovi last year, he got in the lane. He was, making passes through people's legs or around their back and stuff like that. And he hasn't done it this year. And, he's not going to beat people off the dribble, but the fact that he can't even get a screen to even attempt to get to the rim is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a good answer of why this team is just so bad, right. But offensively, they just can't figure it out. There's no goal. There's no this is what we're going to do. This is the shot we're looking for on this play. There just seems to be no rhythm, no plan when they get the ball on the offensive end.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of just it's at times uncreative. You have guys standing out around the perimeter. You mentioned two guys that almost exclusively shoot from behind the arc. And then, even at times, Jaden Springer and Keon Johnson, when they're, especially Jaden Springer is pretty guilty of it, just so unselfish at the rim. And it's like, sometimes you got to take over. You got to take over. And that's, they, again, end all be all's coaching. They've got to be coached up to just sometimes be more aggressive than they are. But I think that's what it all stems from, is lack of aggression.
Yeah. And I just think, like, we talked about how deep this team was going to be this year. I just don't think we've really gotten that out of them. Josiah Jordan-James, his wrist is obviously bothering him. He's 1 for 9 from the last 2 games. He's 0 for 5 with 0 points yesterday. Vescovi was 2 for 5 or 2 for 6, 2 for 5 from 3. He's not giving you a ton, and you're not basically getting. You got 4 minutes from Kumwa. Devontae Gaines played 3 minutes. He had 2 rebounds. John Fulkerson played 19 minutes and had 4 rebounds.
Yeah, it's almost like put him on the floor. Like, who cares if it's a mismatch? John Fulkerson's a mismatch right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Devontae Gaines is 6'7". How tall is Fulkerson? 6'10".
Yeah.
And how much do you think Devontae Gaines actually weighs? Let's see what it
110 pounds.
It says 181. Buddy, I weigh 180 pounds. There's no way you're 180 pounds.
He is 6'7". Pump the brakes.
He is 6'7", but he has 0 meat on his body.
No.
So he might weigh 160 pounds.
But he works his tail off. At this point, just because I think it can look. I don't want to question this team's effort because they play their butts off. I want to say all the time. I really do. I think sometimes it can look, because they're frustrated, and you can see it on their faces, their body language, because of the lack of, like, offensively, and it translates to defensively, and sometimes it looks like effort is the issue. I don't think so with this team. I'm sorry, they play defense too hard for me to, like,
question their effort.
It's hard, but, like, sometimes it looks so, they look frustrated that it looks effort. Put a guy like Devontae Gaines in.
I think this team lacks a true point guard. And that's kind of hurt them a lot. I said it probably a couple weeks ago. If they had Kennedy Chandler, this would be a totally different team, because you have a guy that can literally every time up the floor can get to the rim. When in doubt, clock's going down, y'all don't have a shot, he's going to get to the rim or find somebody that's open.
Right.
And that penetration into the lane, just the defense has to crash, so it's right there. But Tennessee, it's basically they're just passing around until one of the freshmen gets it and, like, okay, well, it's my turn to try to get a bucket.
Yeah.
Because they're Fulkerson is literally not doing anything. 4 shots.
Yeah.
First team all conference last year. You attempt 4 shots in a game.
He has to figure out a way to be an alpha. He's got to. He's, like you said, he's all SEC. He's the oldest guy on this team. He's got to figure it out.
What if we, like, went back a couple years ago where Tennessee didn't get top recruits? Without Keon and Jaden, this team is awful.
Yeah.
I don't know if we win a game. Maybe UC Upstate, we win it by 5 or something like that. Like, it looks like a bad team with 2 really good guards that, they're not primary ball handlers.
Mm-hmm.
They're more like slashers and try to use their body to get to the rim. Keon uses his athleticism. Jaden he's a bigger bodied guard and uses that to get to the rim when he needs to. But they're the only 2 that attempted a free throw.
Yeah. No, that, again, lack of aggression. Like, that's aggression.
That was Fulkerson's game last year. He was going to get the ball and he was going to throw himself, and any little contact is going to knock him off balance. So it's usually a foul. But this year you can't even get it to him, for one, because he has 0 position down low, and then when you do, it's a turnover. He had 4 turnovers yesterday too, to go along with 4 points and 4 rebounds. So just bad. And then we gave up 16 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, and that
Again, lack of post play.
Yeah, and rebounding's been an issue for the team the last 2 years without Grant Williams. I don't know how. I mean, East Pons is one of the strongest and most athletic guys on the court. He should be. His rebounds have always not been great for the type of player that he should be.
I mean, he had 8 yesterday. I mean, East Pons he's playing good, but he's never going to be a dominant offensive player.
What you need.
He just never is.
No, but that's what you need from him on this team. Because, I mean, unless Fulkerson becomes that again, that's what I mean, you're going to need Eves.
Yeah, so, it's one of the two.
Yep. All right, so I mean, I guess we can talk. I know we did a little bit thoughts on Rick Barnes. I mean, I think the whole, some people I get being upset with him, but I think the whole people want him fired. That's just incredibly stupid, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's not a tradition basketball program for us to look into a Rick Barnes hire and for him to get us to where we were. Yeah, I mean, this season isn't great. Last season wasn't great. But I mean, you're competitive. You're ranked 20. You had 6 losses, and until yesterday, you're ranked 25th in the country. Now, I think he's like hurt himself by raising the standard so much.
Right. I mean, you mentioned being Tennessee not a traditional basketball school. I mean, look at traditional basketball schools. I mean, Tennessee's not far off the mark on these traditional basketball schools in almost close to a normal year. I mean, I don't know.
We do have a question about basketball. Let's
answer that. And I while you're pulling that one up, I just think I don't know. Like you said, the standard's been raised. Why? It just blows my mind. And I know you can point to just some bad games and some, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean
it sucks, but then again, maybe that team camaraderie is, bigger than what we usually think, because, every year is kind of normal. With this year, maybe that is a bigger deal than what most people think, because you do have a lot of new pieces. Victor Bailey Jr. hadn't played a game with his team until this year. Keon Johnson, Jaden Springer hadn't. A lot of these guys had COVID. Luckily I haven't had it, knock on wood. But I don't know what it does to your body, and I think everybody's different. So I'm not using that as an excuse. This team should be better than what they're playing like.
They should.
But I think there's other stuff that probably comes with it.
Yeah, I don't think Rick Barnes and his staff have done the best job this year, but I also don't think it's 100% on them. I think it's also on the team. And I mean,
you did mention the basketball programs that usually are up at the top of college basketball: Duke, Carolina, Kentucky. Those teams have a lot of freshmen to come in, and for them not to have a true off season, they've struggled this year.
Yeah.
Tennessee, maybe they were just, but then again, it goes back to they struggled from the get go. Yeah. Tennessee was good until conference play, and then it just kind of fell off.
Right.
Maybe that was just because we didn't play a really tough schedule until then, but you whooped Kansas, who just beat Baylor yesterday.
Yeah, it's there. It's there for Tennessee.
Yeah,
it's certainly there.
So yeah, I'm not on the fire Rick Barnes train. Do I wish he could be better in March and stuff like that? Absolutely. I think everybody wishes they were better in March, but I don't know. It's the way that it is, I guess.
I think I would assume that if Texas isn't missing him, they're dumb. They're dumb. They're incredibly dumb. Where they've been since he's been gone.
Besides this year.
Yeah, but I mean, but they can't. If they don't do anything in March, that's their whole thing about Rick Barnes, and they just have to say, well, it was the same. At the most, which, I mean, with Shaka, it wasn't the same at all.
Right.
So at this point, they have to say they would rather have Rick Barnes back. There's no way. And if we're going to pretend missing the tournament's the same as losing in the round of 32, then why the F even play the game? Like, just let the teams that because I mean, it's pretty. Basketball's crazy in terms of like, the teams that do end up winning it, but it's fairly. You can see the teams that have an actual chance of winning it.
Yeah, and it's been nuts. Just like, I pay attention to games, but I really don't like pay attention to scores and who people lost to until I started betting.
Yeah.
And like it's a crapshoot. Like you never know what team is gonna come out and fire on all cylinders or just completely crap the bed. There's not a maybe Gonzaga's consistent, but I mean they're not playing a decent basketball team night in and night out.
Right, but you usually what I meant in terms of like you can usually say by end of January the teams that have a legit shot of winning the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean. Yeah. If you're gonna sit here and go, well, I'd rather if I'm playing in the good Lord, the NIT, then that's about the same as losing in the round of 32 to me. That's what I mean. Like, then why do we even play? Like, why? It's not true at all. So why do we even play? That's what I meant for. I'm sure a lot of Tennessee fans are like, this is the same as a Donnie Tyndall year. No, it's not.
Yeah, when I was little, I thought NIT stood for not in the tournament.
That's exactly what it stands for.
So like, you weren't good enough to make it. You're worse than 68.
When I was young, when we were younger, I thoroughly enjoyed the thought of the NIT.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, hang that banner.
Yeah, for sure. What was that basketball question you had?
Yeah, so Christopher Nichols says, do you see the problems with this b-ball team stemming from three different sets of players, the veterans who played with Admiral and Williams, the newbies, Keon and Springer, and the in-betweens, Vescovi, Side Jordan James, and not molding them together? Yeah, I kind of mentioned that. Like, it's just been a weird year, not like having that camaraderie, having that team bonding for a whole off season. And a lot of them they're out in the, when they were actually back to practice, this team had struggled with the coronavirus. And so some of those guys were out. I don't know who exactly was out and who wasn't out, but they've had different guys in and out, up until the season started. So.
I mean, I think that's definitely like a problem, I'd say. Doesn't seem like this team's just gelling for whatever reason.
But I think this team would look a lot different if John Fulkerson was playing like a first-team all-conference player.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's no, like, Tennessee has the talent on this team to, they should be in the top one or two teams in the country, like teams in the SEC. Yeah. They shouldn't be like where that, like, 6th, 7th right now, whatever they are. Right. They shouldn't be in the middle of the pack of the SEC.
Correct. Chris mentioned that the NIT was the more prestigious tournament. Yeah, it used to be. That was a while ago, though. It was before, like, the Glory Road days. That was a while.
Patrick Edie asked, any transfers we're looking at, such as Eric Gilbert? I forgot to mention this during when we were talking about football. But, yeah, probably Eric Gilbert will at least get a call, I would assume. I would hope.
You need to at least call him.
Other than that, I don't know a ton of grad transfers out there, but I think you'd look for Tennessee to probably add a defensive back, maybe an edge rusher, linebacker. Defensive side of the ball, I think you're going to look for guys like that. And then obviously a playmaker like Eric Gilbert would definitely get a call.
Yeah, I mean, guys like Eric Gilbert, you call them, you either make them say no or make them tell you why they can't. Like, I got to go to JUCO, whatever. Mm-hmm. You like you said, you make that call. So. You make the call. Okay. Any other questions?
That's all we got.
Okay.
You got any on Twitter?
I haven't got any more. I've tried to keep up with them as they've come in. I'm double checking the history of the NIT since it was brought up because, like Chris said, it did used to be the more prestigious tournament, but that's a pretty old deal. Let's see.
I do have. So, Sean Hicks asked if there were any big time running backs that we've offered. I know Jordan James. He's at Oakland, Tennessee. He's one. No, that's the only one I kind of know about as far as a running back. But I'm sure there is more, but I haven't really paid attention. Kind of early in the 2022, you hear a lot of the in-state guys, a lot of the quarterbacks are making the decision right now to get that kind of out of the way. You want your guy for the 2022 class to be the quarterback, and then you feel like your class underneath him. But Tennessee is still kind of looking for that 2022 quarterback as of right now. Maybe it's, I had somebody mention Tevin Carter out of Memphis. He's a guy. He's a good quarterback. Keaton Wade out of Summit, Tennessee, won a state title. He could be one. So I think there is options at the quarterback position that we've mentioned kind of in the last couple of weeks, but definitely want to get one. Don't want to be waiting until the start of their senior season and try to log down a quarterback name.
Right. Chris asked, any word on Henry To'oTo'o?
I mean, it's probably not going to be Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, probably not. Hopefully it's not.
Alabama, with what his dad said about Tennessee being a mistake, I just have a hard time.
Hey, now, that wasn't true. He called Andy Bowser promptly after that article was released to let him know that was not true.
Yeah.
So, don't be spreading those rumors, Landon.
He ain't coming to Tennessee, I'll say that. It sucks. It is what it is, but yeah, he's probably not coming to Tennessee.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
If he ends up at Alabama, though, I will lose my.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's probably gonna happen.
Yeah, probably. It looks like the NIT and the NCAA tournament kind of flipped spots in 1970. I don't know, what year did Glory Road take place? I feel like that was the NCAA tournament. Was that the NIT? I think they won the NCAA tournament.
I think so too. I don't know. I could be wrong. Was it? It had to be in the 70s, though, right?
I guess, yeah. I'm not familiar with the year. So, I don't know. We'll learn a little bit today. Learn a little bit here in a second. Give me a minute to let the Google machine work, and I can tell you. It took place in 1966. They did win the NCAA championship, though. So maybe it was starting to flip hierarchy by then. Because, Kentucky, I don't know how true that story is, though. I don't know if it followed it to a T. Yeah, Kentucky was the second place team that year, though. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also forgot, I don't know how I forgot this, but Dallin Hayden's also another big-time running back that Tennessee wants to add.
Yes.
And a lot of these guys, I don't know if, their offers come from Jeremy Pruitt or they've been re-offered by Josh Heupel. So, there's kind of that to look out for, too. But right. Jordan James, Dallin Hayden would probably be at the top of my list.
Yeah, I would say those guys definitely got re-offered, whether it's been, officially, said or not. I would say that they've been placed as a priority. So, I don't think that's a concern as far as...
But going off the 247 page with the offers, some of those probably just come from the previous staff.
Right. All right. Let's get into some baseball.
So, split the series. Definitely not something you want to do against Indiana State, but, Indiana State's a good program.
I don't know much about the Larry Birds. So,
yeah, the Sycamores. I was there yesterday, and I was impressed. All their pitchers were kind of throwing up in the 90s. They played good defense, didn't boot a ton of balls. I think they were in the regionals in 2019. They finished runner-up in the region, which same as Tennessee. So I think that's a pretty good program up at Indiana State. Definitely didn't want to split with them. You want to win that series, but if you lost, one game to them, I don't think that's a bad loss whatsoever.
Right.
But Friday night, you won that one. Big day from Jordan Beck. He had 2 RBIs, including a home run. And then he put Tennessee up in the 6th with a single up the middle to score Liam Spence. And then Saturday, which is the game I went to, they lost 1-3. Inches away from a walk-off in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah.
Drew Gilbert comes up with 2 players on. I think Pavoloni was one of them. Maybe Lipsius was the other. Hits one off the wall in right center, and Pavoloni is, trying to tag from first.
Right.
Well, Gilbert is running because it's like he's going to run regardless because he's on second if he drops it.
Right.
He passes Pavoloni, so Drew Gilbert's counted out, and then you only get runners on second and third.
Right. I was going to mention that about the 2 losses. Like both of them were, and the first one obviously more so than the second, but because you pretty much won it right there. Or you score at least 1 run, maybe 2 if it's just not, if it's more clear that ball's not going to be caught. Probably you potentially score whoever you runner at first too.
Yeah, and if it goes over, you win it straight
right.
up.
Yeah,
you're inches away from a walk-off home run, and it just hits the top of the wall, and you just get guys not paying attention.
Yeah, and so that one's tough. And then the second loss, I know you'll talk more about it here in a second, but talking about how these losses came, they're tough. I didn't know much about Indiana State as a program, but you have a chance in the ninth, the second game Saturday to rally, and I don't know if I'm gonna have to go look back at the ninth inning from Saturday night, but it was 7-5. You weren't out of it when it came to the ninth inning, and the bats have been working for Tennessee thus far this year, so that's just a tough way to drop it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you lose that game. Tennessee pitched true freshman Blade Tidwell, who is throwing 95, 96 on the radar gun. He's gonna be something special for Tennessee here in the next couple of years. And then you get the second game Saturday, lose that 7-5. Indiana State went up 7-0, and we scored 5 runs in the 6th, and then just, it wasn't enough. Kirby Connell pitched really well in that game. And then today, won that one 6-5 with a walk-off. Had bases loaded, no outs. Jake Rucker hits one to the third baseman, a shot, and the throw home pulls the catcher off the plate. And
electric finish.
Yep, won that one.
That got reviewed. That walk, that one got reviewed.
So you got to celebrate it twice.
Yeah, those are the best ones.
You mentioned the bats. They kind of got cold at times. Especially yesterday when it was really coming down. We just kind of struggled, and they've just not really got much from the bottom of the lineup. It's been Jordan Beck. It's been Drew Gilbert. It's been Liam Spence and Jake Rucker. Everybody else has kind of struggled a little bit, especially in this series. You had 10 errors in 9 games so far this season. That's not ideal.
No.
Ferguson has struggled. He was a preseason All-American with basically every outlet out there. And, he had a 2 RBI double today. So, hopefully he's getting back on track, but he just struggled a little bit at the plate and in the field. And then we left 38 runners on base in the series.
Yeah, that's the alarming number.
Mm-hmm. And only 1 home run. You almost get that one from Drew Gilbert in the ninth on the first game on Saturday. But Jordan Beck on Friday night was your sole home run of the weekend from this Tennessee team, who has a lot of power, just couldn't get it going.
Right.
Not a lot of timely hits. Like I mentioned, the 38 runners on base, a lot of those were in scoring position. Sometimes you had the bases loaded and couldn't get anybody in. Tennessee just got to find a way to, when you get guys on base, you gotta get them in somehow, move them over, advance them somehow, some way, because when SEC play gets here, it's only going to get tougher.
Yeah, for sure. And the second game Saturday, bottom of the ninth, Gilbert led off with a single. Led off the inning with a single, and then 3 straight batters struck out. So,
yeah,
I was like, I feel like they had what felt like an opportunity to tie it up. They did. They tying run at the plate. But yeah, it's just, the 38 leaving 38 runners stranded is an alarming number. Like you mentioned, you've got to find ways to get those guys home.
And 29 strikeouts in the first 3 games of this season, or the series, only 3 today. So
Right.
you improve that number. The bats were a little bit better. Maybe we just like good weather, and good weather's on the way. So hopefully that's what it is. But
Right.
Tennessee struggled on Saturday to really get anything going, and 29 strikeouts in 3 games is not where this team wants to be offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that's improved. Like I mentioned, the warm weather, if that's what it takes, it's right around the corner. So
Hopefully.
yeah,
You're forgetting
we'll see.
you're forgetting second winter, which is probably going to come in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
20 degrees. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think Indiana State's a good baseball program. They're probably going to be a regional team. But definitely want to see those bats really improve for Tennessee because, like I said, SEC play, you don't get it. You don't get an off week or an off series when the SEC gets here. So definitely want to improve that.
For sure. Wednesday,
also, go get your shirts.
Yes, get your shirts. I gotta place my order before I say body you tonight, so don't let me forget. Yeah, go get your shirts now. Get them while they're hot. They look good. Get them ordered. When's the last date? March.
Friday.
This Friday.
Yep.
Okay, so Friday. Get them in before Friday. That way, trying to get them out to you, meet up, shipped, whatever. Do all that good stuff. Okay. Wednesday night they play Dayton, and then next weekend they'll be taking on Georgia State. That's in Knoxville. All those games are in Knoxville. Friday, Saturday, both night games, and then Sunday 1 p.m. game. So do you know the reason why they originally scheduled 4? I know we were kind of talking about it earlier. Do you think they did that just in case weather was bad? They could.
Maybe that's. But I mean, this was scheduled before this week, so I think it's just trying to get more games in against a quality opponent. Because I know they've had a hard time like scheduling teams to come play them.
Right.
Whether that be due to restriction with COVID and things like that, it's just been a hard time to. And I think a lot of it is just like. Tennessee's a good baseball program, so teams don't want to drive down to get their butt whooped. So,
love it. All right. Any more questions? Anything in chat?
That's all I got.
Any others? All right. Let's see here. I don't have any in Twitter. No Twitter ones. All right. We'll get into the most important. I want to remind you all, go buy your shirts. You can go to our Twitter page, Facebook page, pull up all that good info. Take you to a Google form, fill that out. Then you got to Venmo Landon or PayPal his wife, one or the other. You taking
Sorry,
cash?
I don't have PayPal.
Are you taking cash?
Yeah, if you can meet me, I'll take cash.
Okay. I don't know how many people are cash nowadays, but just in case.
Yeah, if you can meet me in South Knoxville, I'll be happy to meet you and do cash.
Sono, baby. Sono. Most important of the week.
Most important. I have one. It's I hope I'm saying this right. Eskrin football. It's a college in South Carolina. Won their first game in 70 years.
70?
70 years. So they
didn't
just
have a program, right?
Okay. Yeah, they just relaunched their program this year. So they won their season opener against Barton College,
Okay.
I think. 30-28. So 70 years. Got their first dub. It sounds a lot worse than it is.
Yeah, no, I realized that had to be the case. Like, but at first I was like, why are they playing? But yeah, no, that makes much more sense. Makes much more sense. My first most important shout out to PGA Tour. All the players came out today wearing the Sunday red. Black pants for Tiger, supporting Tiger as he rode to recovery. Tough car. I mean, just nasty car accident. But it was a cool gesture. I wore my red and black on the golf course today. There were a lot of people wearing red and black on the golf course today for Tiger. To be fair, most of the time when I play golf on Sundays, I try to wear red because it's Sunday red. Can't go wrong.
Sunday red. Love it. You wore Sunday red today?
I wore red and black. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Did you shoot well?
Full Tiger. No. Played terrible. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. It was bad.
I don't have any more most importance. That's all I got.
I thought I had one more, but I don't. Or do I? I don't think so. I do want to play a video for you. Did I show this to you last night of Matt Hasselbeck at the 2003 quarterback challenge? I'll let you guys listen to it. They're doing like a QB challenge. It's not the Pro Bowl. I guess this year they did, or that year they did something with just like, I don't know. It wasn't the Pro Bowl. And Matt Hasselbeck's going through it, and just to kind of give you all context because it's hard to hear. He complains about a ball being flat, and Boomer Esiason says that it was Brady's fault. So and this is in 2003. I just thought it was funny. So.
All right, go. No air in this ball.
Looking in the corner. Right on the money for Rod Smith. With no air in the ball.
Boomer, someone tried to sabotage me with this ball.
It must have been Brady.
I can't believe you calling for an excuse.
Must have been Brady.
Had to be Brady.
No one else, like, because I found that video just like on NFL's Facebook page, just like watching some videos, scrolling through there. No one had commented on it. I was like, how is this not being talked about? He ended up suspended for like, what, 4 games over that? That's hilarious.
It's great. Comedy.
That's my only most important. Or my.
I was going to go back to Eskren. Do you think like they use that as a recruiting pitch? Like, hey, we haven't won in 70 years, so you can be the first.
Yeah, be the first. I definitely would. Where did you say it was in South Carolina?
Yeah,
I definitely would. I think that's a great recruiting pitch. Can be the first. First in 70.
First. Print the shirts.
Print it. Fail the week.
Fail the week. I don't know who this is a fail on, but I'm just going to read it. It's from Max Prep. I'll say it's on Max Preps. It is. Grayson High School is getting a future stud in 9-year-old Deshaun Morris. Remember that name. It's a committed graphic from a 9-year-old.
Nice. What quarterback committed to Lane Kiffin? Who was it?
I don't know.
I don't remember it either. Dang, I might have to look it up. Can we even find that? He was like 13, I think. Maybe younger than that.
David Seals.
It was David Seals?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
He ended up playing at West Virginia as a receiver.
Yes. I was like, I knew this could be right because I feel like it'd be talked about way more often. I was like, was it Christian McCaffrey? And I knew it was some like white guy that didn't play quarterback in college. So that's why I was like, almost like, that sounds right. But yeah. My first fail of the week is the Atlanta Hawks and Oklahoma City Thunder. They started off the game. Atlanta was in red and Oklahoma City was in orange. And you could barely tell them apart. And it was terrible to watch. And the teams must have agreed because I think Oklahoma City came out in white in the second half. Yeah, it was bad. I can't imagine it was easy for the players either.
Taste the rainbow. Love it.
Yeah, for real.
I will say this. It maybe you saying that made me think about this. A lot of people were complaining about the Tennessee baseball helmets, how they look red.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them in person yesterday. They are actually orange. I think it just had to do with the feed from
maybe I don't know,
streaming service.
Well, and it's the same thing with like the pants and the helmet, like it's just the Tennessee's orange on different materials looks different. It's weird.
It matched yesterday.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So it looked good yesterday because that's the first thing I was like, yeah, I need to find this out. So yeah, it definitely matched. It's not red.
Not red. Do you have another fail of the week?
That's all I got.
I've got one, and we've talked about this before. Gender reveals. They were back for a very brief time. They're done. They're done for good. I think this has got to be it. They've actually you're celebrating bringing life to Earth. This was the opposite. A father was fatally wounded because when he was building a device for a gender reveal, it exploded. Dude, why? They've always been stupid. Now you're making explosive ones? Stop, guys. Just tell us what you're having. Boy or girl. Nothing else. Nothing fancy.
Just like pick a hat. Just do it like that or something.
Or do that. Have you seen that one? Actually, that one's funny.
I haven't. Oh, that's
They
took my idea.
There's a couple that like sits at a table with the blue and pink hat, and then they select the one. Yeah, so that's a good gender reveal. That's an option. Are you planning one?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No,
all right.
I'm
Just
good.
testing you there. Testing you.
I'm good. Now, I'll let you go first. You can take first on that one.
Nah, we can. You're good. Anybody else? Any of the listeners want a gender reveal? There you go. There's an option out there. I will take it. You can have it.
Just invite us. We can FaceTime you or something while you're doing it.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'd love that. Well, guys, appreciate it. Hopefully this is a better week as Vol. Thank you for the Lady Vols teams for pulling it out for us. Basketball, soccer, softball. Track and field had a good weekend. I don't want to read off the accolades without seeing them, but
they won the 4x4, the fastest time in the world.
Record. Yeah, I was about to say, I think they set a record for the 4x400. So that was good. So big stuff. Hopefully it's a better week though. Baseball gets Dayton on Wednesday. Basketball gets
Florida on Sunday.
Okay, I was like, I know that's Florida, but I was like, I don't think it's a weekday. Florida on Sunday.
Yeah, it's on Sunday.
Lady Vols this weekend, I think, is the tournament. So,
okay,
in Greenville, yeah, another big week. Hopefully, it's better. We'll see. Always appreciate all this.
Don't forget to get your Rifleman at Bat, the baseball shirt that we have available. You have until Friday, so get that ordered. Actually, order a bunch of them. Don't just order one.
Yeah.
You gotta at least have one of each.
Get the whole family.
Yeah. That's all we got. We're bringing the boat in, and we out.